Welcome back to another Alliance War video. We have 4 Loki versus Pycb. This is war number 3, and we have Gallon, Scorpion, and Hercules banned this war. So, all 3 BGs actually have a thing boss. One R4 in BG1, and R5s in BG2 and BG3. And Andrew was so kind to write in my name for the war boss for this war, and I have an R5 Valk, so it makes sense. First up, I have the spam on path 5, and I'm not using a white Magneto pre-fight here. I have Professor X, Valk, and Omega Sentinel, and the plan basically is to get to my vigilance and just bait SB1s, heavy counter when I think the spacing is there, and just build up to my SB3. He can't evade me, so I'm not worried about his nonsense or anything like that. And so here I'm just just kind of building power, letting my Sig take my my mind control up, and when he's debuff immune, when his debuff immunity goes away, then I'm gonna heavy counter and get some more mind control that way. And ideally I want to let the taunt fall off when I throw my SB3, and that's basically it. So we'll just let this play out. A little bit about this war is that RBG typically is the last BG to have the boss go down. So I knew with all 3 of us taking essentially the same war boss that there was going to be some pressure on just time, inner BG competitiveness and whatnot. So I was kind of letting that build up in my head a little bit. Since I have to wait for some mini island fights to finish up so I could boost through and take the boss, and that's essentially what I would be doing. But first up is just the spam, and you see that I got the SB3 off with the taunt off, mind control is active, and I'm not running max recoil here. He has a small health pool and the fury kind of boosts it up. I am running big boost though, 12 and 200%, since I am going to be taking X into some other fights. Now next up I have a Shuri, and I will be taking this with Valk. I did debate using Omega Sentinel here. She can bypass miss with her tracking, and if I were to throw full recoil on, she has more than enough damage to actually just nuke her down with her basic attacks. But it's heavy unstoppable, and even though I won't miss, I won't be able to counter the unstoppable, so getting openings would be kind of difficult. So I went with Valk, PS1 boost here, and I did some duels beforehand, and the main thing that I was trying to tell myself is that if she throws a heavy once she has 10 of those charges, do not counter even though she has unstoppable and I have a counter, because she will trigger untouchable and I'll miss. So at this point I'm just trying to be super careful, and there she triggered her heavy with 10 on, and she's obviously she can miss, or she can phase any of my hits. So I'm just trying to build up to my special too. She threw a heavy while under 10, so I was like, okay, I'll use that to invert my combo. I do want to invert that just in case I do get parried, since I am dashing at her to block if it's a intercept and she holds block or something like that. I don't want to get parried, so now I'm stun immune. But at this point I'm like, okay, perfect. I invert again just because I want 3 pierce buffs to get the bleed damage, and I'm not going to knock her down. I'm going to take all these specials in the block and basically just chip her down this way. It did kind of suck that she threw that, because it burned most of my fury, but you see that there's about a minute 15 into the fight, she's down 40%, and I didn't really get to do any damage with my fury. So at this point I'm like, okay, I'm debating whether I trigger her unstoppable, her heavy, so she can lose her phase and I can build some more power kind of naturally. But if she's giving me these blocking openings, then I'll just do that and just kind of play it slow and steady. There's 2 minutes in, and now she's at 30%, and I'm at my second SB2, and I'm like, okay, this is going well. I'm going to throw this and invert my combo just to get more bulwark up, and just want to make sure that she dashes away at me before I go at her, and she does, and that's all she wrote. So
At this point in the war, I'm like, okay, things are going smooth. Andrew smashed some of his ghost fights, so we fed him a bunch, and you know, you see that he didn't like it, but he threw a pun at me. Not a very good one. I'm very ashamed that he's so incompetent, but it is what it is. Now, let's get to my third fight of this war. I have this Kingpin. I will warn you guys that I'm about to show you some gameplay that I'm embarrassed of. There's 2 fights in this war that just kind of threw me for a loop. At this point, you know, we have 1 death in the alliance as a whole, and I'm finishing up the majority of our most dangerous fights. I'm taking Professor X into this Kingpin. It has a regen on back down, and then he goes unblockable if I get too many regens. I don't really care about any of that because I don't care if he's full health. I just need to get to an SB3, 100 charges, and throw it. Now, a few things. I did practice some heavy countering, but I decided not to do that. I'm going to use my falter for heavy charging, and you see here I do that, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking some chip damage. I resist that heavy, thank God. And things are just, you know, I just dash at him and I eat this degen, and I'm watching it tick for 800 a tick, which is about 1600 a second, and I'm just like, am I gonna die from this degen? I'm in the corner. I'm like, I manually trigger mind control there, and I'm only at 3 charges, so, and I don't hit him with this SB2, so it doesn't kill him, and now I lose all of my mind control, and I'm like, I'm at 28%. I'm trying to look at how many vigor charges or whatever they're called. I just don't want him to throw an SB2, and he throws his SB1. I'm like, alright, let's get back into this. He loses his debuffs. That's good because I can control spacing by hitting his block here while he has overpowered, but he will be unblockable if he throws this special one. So I'm just like, just don't get clipped, don't dash back too much, because I don't want him to be unblockable and have to deal with that. And I just need to kill him. I need to get over 50 and manually trigger mind control, and see if I can get him down that way. But I need to be over 2 bars. I'm trying to control spacing here, and I'm like, okay, a heavy charge, boom, I'm almost at 100, and I see that I'm going to trigger regen right here, and he goes unblockable. So I'm like, man, I should have just triggered mind control manually there. I eat a special or a combo, and I just throw my special 3, and thank God. Thank God that I threw this. I am going to pop out of this, or he's gonna die, but I'm at 9%. We have these meme awards that we give out after each war, and one of them is a butt clench award, and my butt was severely clenched during that fight. So I'm like, wow, I didn't think that was gonna be a scary fight at all, but that's my mistake. I should have just stuck with one plan and gone with that, and not try to have too many options in my head. Now this fight is pretty straightforward. It's buffet, and all I'm going to be doing is baiting heavies. I have to tell myself I don't have white magneto pre-fight. I always fight Mordo with one. So just bait a heavy, and I have an indestructible boost on, and basically just tank some SB3s. It's my only Omega Sentinel fight. So she's just here for the synergy to ramp up my X faster, and to basically tank some SB3s from this Mordo. She does plenty of damage. You see here, he's about 60% when he gets to his SB3. I didn't even bother baiting specials, to be honest with you. Just gonna tank some specials. The annoying part about him getting to an SB3 first was that he has an incinerate on right now, which means I don't want to throw my incinerate or my SB3, because then I won't get my 6. So here I throw my SB3, and it's gonna pop out with a huge incinerate. I did try to stack some cowardice on him, and that's basically it. If I lose my indestructible and I have to tank some specials, that they do less damage. So here you see that he's He's not throwing his SB3. He gives me a chance to pause it here, and he still doesn't throw it. So I'm hitting into his block, and he throws this other special 2, or special 3, second special 2, special 3, I'm sorry. And it doesn't really matter. He's just going to burn to death after. He did regen right here, which is kind of annoying, but I'm going to get him down right here. I'm going to throw the special 1, and it'll end it. So that went down smoothly. Now onto Mini Island. First up is this Mole Man. So he's on node 53. This is the PDP Mini. And with Mole Man, and obviously Sudden Reflections on here as well. With this node, I just want to make sure that I don't accidentally parry. So if I find a chance to invert my combo and get a Bulwark, I will do it. But again, I'm going to just see if I can get that, and I am going to make it a priority if it opens itself up to. But the main thing I want to do is I want to make sure that if I push him to a special, like I'm holding block here, I don't want to see right there. I inverted on accident, or I got the I inverted to get the Bulwark, but I wanted to get my I wanted to push him to an SB2 because if he gets any monster mass, I can't hit his block. So that's why I use Flourish actually there to help me, and now I have more than enough to play around to get my Pierce up, and I'm good to go. So the global actually kind of helped me out there, and now I'm off and running. It's doing a significant amount of damage. At this point, hitting into his block. I'm going to be at my my special 2 pretty soon. I dex this. He has mass, and we're just going to dash back and wait for a block opening and hit him at this point. We have 3 Pierce. I'm going to hit into his block with my SB2 and throw it into his block and see if there's an opening, then dash at him. And he's going down rather smoothly. So this is just a smooth Valk fight. Everybody should have at least one Valk in their battle group. This makes Mole Man kind of non-existent. This next fight, I've taken so many spot bosses with not a worry in the world, and I let my boost fell off some of them because I was waiting for my my BG officer to place a horseman on here because I just wanted the horseman abilities, basically the prowess and the unstoppable and all that jazz. But he was busy, so I just decided to go in, and I was like, well, I'll power start 1, and you know what I do with the boss is I beta heavy and then I counter. But with this node, there's just a lot to watch. I'm watching brute force, I'm watching his spots, I'm watching you know, when he does go untouchable, the ruptures. I'm just trying to see how much damage, and there's just a lot that goes on. And this is the Kingpin fight. The degen kind of threw me for a loop. This just looks like a straight noob fest. I just suck. Like at first I'm like, okay, I'm just building my power by hitting him. I don't want brute force to kick in, and I'm gonna push him to an SB2 ideally, and that's what I'm telling myself. So he throws this, and now watching this back, you know, he's untouchable there. So now I'm degenning. You see all that degen, and I'm just like, man, like I lost all that health, and I'm not even at 50 charges. I'm at an SB3, but I can't even do anything with it because I don't have I'm not ramped yet. So I'm like, okay, he's untouchable there, so I have to wait for another opening, and now I gotta bait another SB2, and I'm like, come on, throw this dude. I'm like, okay, perfect, and I want to charge. Man, watching this back sucks. I should have just heavied right there and then waited for an opening and then manually, you know, switched on my mind control. But I just panic throw it, right? I just panic throw it because my health was so low, and I'm just like, man, this just sucks. I just can't take more degen damage. And so at this point I'm like, I have these ruptures, they're ticking down, and I'm just like, trigger mind control, and it pushes me to an SB3, and I'm like, thank God, 11%. got to be my 2 worst X fights I've ever had, and it just looked like a total noob. I had the boss up next, and that just didn't seem appealing at all. You see that I actually said I'm going to take 5. I just wanted to kind of regroup and kind of look at everything, change the masteries up. Took everything out of Stupefy and Limber because I will get a bulwark up, so I won't have to worry about accidentally being parried. And I don't need to be stunning him since he's stun immune. So at this point, a PS1 boost, and at this fight, I just didn't know how fast or how long it was going to be. So I just wanted as much health as possible. I have some Odin buffs here, some protection 1 as well. And I throw my first special 2 into his block, and I'm just looking at it. It's about a minute down, and 80%, you know, is down. And I'm like, okay. I have 2 bulwark and 2 pierce up, and you see that what kind of threw me for a loop is right here, everything's going well, and I eat a special to the face, and I'm like, okay, I didn't even lose my protection buff. That's where most of the damage actually comes from. I just get caught with that special, and it kind of caught me off guard that I triggered his protection, even though he's a boss. See right here, like that whole special was just in protection, but after was doing really good damage, and I was like, oh, and then I trigger it again right there, and I'm like, man, this is just making this fight that much longer. But ultimately it's going down. The chip damage that I'm taking isn't bad at all. And you see here, he has protection up. I'm gonna hit his block, and just this last special will end it, and that's it. So that was the war, and had my ups and downs. Definitely important to note that it sometimes, you know, we do have these moments to where we freak out, but we can salvage it. That's a joke. 10 out of 10. I tell Andrew that any solo's a 10 out of 10. No, those solos were not 10 out of 10 at all. But we did lose this war. We went 150 and 1. They got a donut against our entire alliance. So that just is kind of painful, but we are improving overall season by season. So I take that as a win. We can only do our best, and you know, we have fun learning and growing and getting better, and that's what's important. I think the wins obviously are what we want, but let's not lose track of the journey. So now let's take a look at the MVP. Shout out to Andrew, the B Manny, and B McG for the MVPs for this war, and GG's to Pycb. And see you guys in the next one.